Hello, you. Welcome to takTalks. Roll the intro. That's right, I don't have an intro, so that's not going to work. Damn. All right, well, anyway, takTalks, I'm Takaya Honda. This is a place where I get to chat to actors and friends that I have and who hopefully have interesting stories. I hope they have interesting stories because it's live, and if they didn't, it might get a little bit awkward, but hopefully it won't. Anyway, takTalks, this is number 15, and I have a pretty awesome guest. You guys probably are all here to see him, so I'm going to stop rabbiting on and just introduce him. Mr. Tim Robards! I missed clicking something there, so that could be awkward. How you doing?
So, you can see me now. I'm up.
You are up. You are
Like
on
this.
the screen.
Nice, mate. I'm very good. Just been chilling today, taking like every day lately, which is kind of nice. Good to have take the pace off of normal life.
Yeah, I've seen you've been doing your last night. I saw you've got Tim's got your back. Got your back. Is that? What you're doing?
Yeah. I just thought, I mean, there's lots of different ways I'm trying to I guess help and make a difference and for people in need in different ways. But that was one thing. It was actually a client of mine I was in clinic, my chiro clinic on the weekend. I just still do like one day a month in the clinic, and she suggested very similar thing that someone she knew was doing something like this, not through, I don't think it was through Instagram, but essentially I just thought it's a great way. So I put out there, Tim's got your back. So I go, right, is anyone who's in need, who is struggling with something financially due to hardship, whatever, if there's something you need, I might be able to be the middleman who can then ask for that to my audience, since I have this reach, and put that to good use. And then someone from my audience may want to help you out, and I'll give that business a shout out, and hopefully it's a bit of a nice pat each other's back type of thing. And I can be the middleman and facilitate that. So I thought, I'll try it out, see how it goes. It's day one. There's been a lot of silly things come through, but I'm waiting for some good ones. Someone who really needs something, and then see if we can make that happen. And if it works, then we could do this as a regular thing. But I mean, even if you can help one person here, there, that makes a difference. And sometimes you can help a lot of people. But yeah, I just thought that's one way that I can give back and use social media for good.
Yeah, and I think that's a perfect example for everyone at home of what Tim's like in real life. He's constantly wanting to help, and he's very genuine about it. And this is an example where Tim doesn't get anything from this. He's just literally trying to help.
Oh, did I mention I get 50% of what I'm doing? No, no, I don't get anything from it. Just nice to, I don't know, maybe good karma.
Yeah,
karma comes around.
Well, I think so. I mean, you've done pretty well so far, so something's been working in your favor. But I think if you put good things out like that, I think you should get other things come for you. So
if I ever need it, hopefully it'll come back to me one day.
I'm sure it will.
When I'm in need and I need to reach out, remember me, guys. Yeah. So it's been interesting. It's been a bit of a change. Like, I luckily beforehand, a lot of my training, I did try and get outdoors as much as I could, but I still went to the gym, 4 days a week, and I would do a mixture of training. But one of the things that I fell in love with probably 7-8 years ago was using Olympic rings for training. So kind of like your TRX. So using Olympic rings was something that I just found. It's kind of like the gym you can take in your backpack and take outdoors, get some vitamin D, get some fresh air, see the green trees and the blue water. And, I love training outdoors where I can. So I've really, that's become most of my training now. I'm really enjoying just going for simple walks with Anna, and because I travel back and forth every week to Melbourne, I only get the weekends with my wife most of the time. So to have 3 weeks so far solid with each other, that's been really nice. So just to kind of do a lot of simple things together, going for a bit more run. We've been with her family, so parents, obviously parents and things. So we're seeing each other via Zoom and doing Pilates sessions together. So in New York, they get a Pilates girl that's there who takes a session, and we all follow.
Is it just your family, or is it like heaps of people?
Which is kind of
that's
nice.
So cool.
Yeah, just us, just our family. Couple of countries.
Just watching people fall out of frame.
Yeah. Well, funny because Anna's mum, God bless her, there's a couple of times, people forget their cameras on and they get in these positions right up against the camera and things like that. They're not as conscious of where the camera is at any one time. So we can hit our mark.
Yeah.
They're just or
No, if I was doing that, I'd
mark.
definitely just use.
Yeah. So it's been good. It's been just I really enjoyed is creating a lot of content as well. I mean, there's so much fitness into. I've done some videos through the Medibank page. So I've done some videos where we break down the lower body, the upper body, shoulders, neck, and these are special. So we go through, we show you how to mobilize, how to stretch, and then how to do some self-assessment. So one of them might be hands behind your back, and then try the other side. And most people go, oh, one side's really good, one side's bad. What does that mean? Here's the stretch you can do to even them up so that you don't get shoulder issues in the future. Or can you squat bum to ground? Most people don't actually squat their bum like all the way to their. We build a life of convenience and comfort, and we never really actually have to go any lower than the car seat, the toilet seat, the dining room chair, or the office chair. So whereas when you play in the dirt on the ground with their toys, like bum, right down on their ankles, and we create this this world of convenience, but it makes us makes us more vulnerable to bad necks, bad shoulders, bad lower back. So it's been fun creating all this content for people to break down that stuff, so that when you do your training, expecting to, throwing a kettlebell around or whatever you're doing at home, you do it well, you do it safe, further injuring yourself. Especially now, so many people are working from home, so they've got these office setups, on their dining room table.
The ergonomics are all over the place.
And things like that. So that's been enjoying creating a lot of
that's really great, actually,
well.
because you don't see much of that kind of stuff because there's heaps of that fitness stuff. Heaps of Fitspo. Here's a workout. Everyone work as hard as they can, but there's not much.
One burpee, another push-ups, burpees, jumping lunges. The same, there's kind of 20 key movements in a bodyweight workout. And you just see them with different music. But to break down, do those for myself, a push-up easy. For a lot of people, they're either like go like this, bad neck, and things. So it's breaking down those simple movements. A simple squat, it's taken me perfect, but to refine.
Yeah, and it's amazing how, I remember watching at work, like an OH&S, Occupational Health and Safety, for everyone who doesn't know what OH&S is outside of Australia maybe, a video where they literally got little kids to do all the actions. So they had a toddler walk up and pick up a box because they naturally squat down and they use their legs because their backs aren't strong enough. And so now we get lazy and obviously use our backs, and then that's That's all. So it is literally just be like a little kid, which is similar to acting, really. Be like a little kid. Little kids just adopt set of circumstances. You say the floor is lava. The floor is lava for a kid. It's a bit harder as an adult to adopt to those things. No, that's really good, man. I think that's really great because there's way too much out there which doesn't provide those basic core ideas, and people hurt themselves and they don't understand why, and then they don't exercise because they're like, I get hurt when I do it. It's like, because there's a few things that person on Instagram or whatever's doing that you don't know those steps to get to the point where those simple things actually are quite complex when you break them down. So you want to get those basics right. Ooh, he's getting fancy with his lights. Hey,
takes a little bit to come on.
It's gonna be a slow
give it
We're
about
gonna watch
a
you
minute.
slowly evolve.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
We're getting real intimate with you there, so.
Ooh.
Just more of you to appreciate, really.
That's what that's what I used to tell the girls about this big nose. it just gets in the way when you're going for a kiss. You got to really pick a side. You got to go, I'm going to go left, because otherwise, I'm going to smack you in the face,
Fortunately, that's not anything I've ever had to worry about, but it's really interesting to hear that becomes a big nose issues. It's
Yeah, it's an issue that April and I have to work around all the time. Like, sorry, I'm going left. She kind of knows which way I go now, but
I remember
it's important.
that is a total thing of like, you think of like the maths people or people who meet their partner, their husband or wife or whatever on their wedding day, and they've got a kiss at the end. They don't know which side they naturally lean. So you're gonna have people who they're gonna hit each other. So it's important things.
You just gotta. It's like that. The 90 and 90, and then they come.
Getting
10.
us all hot under the collar here, Tim.
It's easy.
Anyway, enough of whatever I'm talking about right now. What was growing up like for you? You grew up in Newcastle, right?
Is a big coal mining town. There used to be a real big steelworks town, very kind of working town. And I guess when I grew up, there was the whole BHP kind of steelworks. Pretty much, like, so many people lost their jobs. It was a bit of a tough place. A lot of people had to kind of toughen up. A lot of people went through a lot of hardship in that town through my kind of prime. We were pretty good, but it's just that the feeling you get from a town like that, where that's sort of you get instilled growing up. I left there when I was 20, but for me that was cool, and had very little upbringing, but worked hard. My dad encouraged me to study. Mum and dad was probably the one I looked up to for the business, and he'd be like, right, head down, bum up, study. So I got into uni, into what I wanted to get into, and uni I was doing photonics, which is like the hardest maths and physics you can do. It's all science based, light physics kind of degree in light physics, which you could lasers and fiber optic cables and stuff like that, and thought that's what I wanted to do because I loved how physics explained everything. Once you learn a fundamental equation, you do anything and work out how to get there. In how I've approached life, I've never been a good rope learner so much with lines, because literally you just have to rope learn. Some people are really good. That's why I never really loved chemistry, because rules where it's just, well, this equals that plus that equals this. And you're like, hang on, but that formula sometimes it loosely does, but then there's certain things where it's like, no, it's that because it just because it is. There's no way, whereas physics and maths, there's like underlying, if you understand the equation, you're trying to work out the volume of a river or whatever it is. If you know the underlying equation, then you slot your bits in and you can get yourself to the answer. So instead of having to rope learn all the answers, you just know the basics. So that's kind of what I've always applied to a lot of really understand why something does what it, understand the underlying concept, can learn and memorize all this crazy stuff, because you can just slot the bits in and work out, get your way to the answer, which is kind of a fundamental of based on life. So that's where I did that. I swapped over, went into exercise science, medical science.
Why was the decision to move in that direction? That's a bit different from photonics. So.
Personal training. Yeah. I was personal training when I was 17. It was one of my sort of jobs, just as I just got at the end of school, fitness, and I probably got into that from when I was maybe 13. So I used to watch Dawson's Creek at home at like 9 o'clock at night, gym, pumping out weights. And I remember from when I was 13, buying like Men's Health magazines and kind of going, oh, cool, that's, maybe I was getting this little kick of testosterone or something. I'm like, that's
why next. Was Dawson's Creek your like motivational vision?
That wasn't so much my motivation, but I just remember it being on. So there's like two sides to me. There's this like super soft, right? And then there's this like big hard gym guy that wants to lift big heavy weights. I
Doing
was
both
I
at the
was
same time.
both sides there. Yeah, freak while I'm curling heavy bits of metal. Growing up, mum was sick. She had about 7 years where she would have these to go to hospital, ambulances come, and they never really diagnosed it, but because she would go into these convulsions and thinking without going into that too much, but she, like, well, we had to really pick up and mum didn't make you to go to school, you did it yourself. Um, you come home, you cook, you do your food after school. I was scrubbing showers from when I was 13. We had and do a lot of those jobs you kind of learn later on as an adult. So that was to learn all those things early on in life and become fairly self-sufficient. Because seeing my mum struggle and seeing the modern kind of normal medicine just wasn't coming up with any answers for her. So she had to look through some alternative kind of streams, and that opened my eyes to that sort of stuff. And then gradually she sort of worked away, like 7 or 8 years, but that opened my mind to going, okay, things aren't always as simple as look up the textbook, what is the treatment for this diagnosis. Sometimes there's so many things all come together to cause a certain problem for someone. So that up another notch. So I wanted to have a practical skill with my hands that was, I guess, related to health and well-being and making us, healthcare rather than sickness care. And so that got me into chiropractic. So I thought that was kind of a good mix where I could pull in every healthcare practitioner. You can pull in a lot of the things you learn through physio, the soft tissue stuff, the heart, and all of that. And that kind of got me into studying chiropractic. And so it was about 9 years of uni.
just a few years. Why not?
That was my life. So I finally graduated.
Was performance or the idea of acting, did that exist for you growing up?
Not really. My mum, I think when I was probably in I think it was primary school, she signed me up to this drama school class thing. And I remember maybe going like 3 or 4 times, and I hated it. Maybe I only went twice or something. I hated it. Conscious kid. I was just shy, and just, I don't know whether I always felt I just didn't like eyes on me. I don't know. Just must have lacked confidence for whatever. Didn't like doing things in front of people. I remember just being always nervous, like going down to a team of, being in a team of soccer. I don't know whether maybe there was some early bullying or something that I've suppressed or whatever, But I was always just a pretty shy kid. So I hated that. It was not until maybe when I was about school captain of my primary school, which was such a big step back then. So when I was about 12, as a shy kid, and then having to get up, assembly and talk in front of the kids. I remember I was so scared and so nervous, but I think that started to kind of kick me out of that a little bit, and know that if you do that process, you have to, you get through it. You think you're going to die going into it, and then you get to the end of it and you're like, okay, still here, I'm still alive, I survived, and you build up slowly over time. So that kind of helped. And then when I was a little bit of modeling and stuff, my sister was with an agency, and they come in and we might sign you up and did that, and then started getting some jobs. And I guess I can't, you do these jobs that sometimes you got to be in front of people, which is nerve-wracking, but then they go paycheck, and it was a lot better than the $11 an hour I was earning back then.
Yeah.
So I think I was like, oh, I could do a bit more of this. And then at one, I got the job as Keanu Reeves' stand-in Matrix 2 and 3.
Really? I didn't know that.
So, yeah. And so I was kind of his second in line stand-in. So he had a main guy, couldn't make it, or there was like, you know, time things where you can only work so much time, blah, blah, blah. That was like the first time on a proper set, you know, where I was like, man, this is cool. Seeing, you know, Keanu first time, and there was one time I was there looking at the monitors like this, and one of the girls comes up and taps me on the back, and she goes, between the Wachowski brothers watching the monitors like this, the Wachowski sister, and this girl comes up and taps me and goes, you better get away from there or they're going to tell you to F off. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't realize. I'm just, you know, surreal being, you know, all around. There was so excited scenes and dressed up in his full-on black jacket with all.
Like, will you have, because
like,
as a stand-in, for anyone at home, a stand-in just is meant to stand in for the actor while they light and set up everything else so that you don't have Keanu Reeves standing there for 3 hours while they're setting lights up. Were you having to then, obviously not do the fight sequence, but were you having to move around and pretend, like lean over and stuff? Like,
so then sometimes come into shoot, I'd stay back and get the watch. But then other times, at the end of Revolutions, if you remember where Keanu is, and I remember walking on this thing, and so Keanu was the brothers there, and they were talking, so they had me up on the thing, and they were directing me there. Keanu was kind of, I guess, co-directing in a way, going, I reckon you should do this, and they go, right, move over there. No, I reckon you should stop being directed by Keanu as to where to walk and stand, and yes, cool.
yeah.
I only probably went in about 4 times, you know, the whole thing. So, but the times I did go in, it was really cool. So that just planted some seed. But I guess I was so committed to city, and that was the thing my parents sort of put on me, was go to university. From a musical, creative family, really, you know. So being an actor with everything was like, it's cool, but there's no way I'd ever do it. And then it took about another 15 years before I got the balls to have it.
and because there's what was the thing that sparked that, you know, what was the thing that went, actually I do want to get, because I can see your eyes lit up when you started talking about the Matrix experience for you, and that shows an innate passion that you have there, right? So there's going from that experience and loving that, like, what was the thing that then went, actually 15 years later, I want to give this a go?
Yeah, I think there's so many little things. So I've always loved movies, like just love movies. Over the time, there's been just people have gone, oh, you've got this, like some do modeling, I do commercials and stuff, and I really enjoyed team on something exciting, and working really hard. Sometimes there's really long hours, but there's this kind of reward, this finished product, which is really kind of cool, which is like when all the together and you get to see that, and working with a team where you work your butt off, but then you might get a whole week off. And you know, then I was asked to do to become Australia's first bachelor. So I'd practicing as a chiropractor for 3 or 5 years or something, and I owned some clinics, and just kind of in this point I'm kind of like, I don't know, had these ideas to maybe, you know, open more clinics, and that would be my future, just be bigger clinics, things. But and then I had some, I didn't know where to go. I was in this sort of stuck spot, and relationship kind of dragged me down, and this thing came at me, and I was like, oh, this, I don't know about, like, you know, there's so many what ifs, but without going into the reasons why, I went through that process, and working with them, and for those who don't know, I ended up with my girl 7 years later, married. But I was going through that process and working for 3 months really hard. Like I had 6 days off in 3 months. I was every weekend. I was wake up at 5:30 a.m., finish at midnight, back up. Did that for 3 months straight. It was a huge slog, but with a team of people who are super passionate, super creative, and work big hours. I really enjoyed that process, and so I've been kind of TV for a bit after that, and then gradually I thought, I wouldn't mind presenting, and I'll have a look into the acting, but I just know the thing that's sort of probably the biggest thing that turned me off was just knowing how hard you have to work as an actor. And most of the other people for jobs have gone, they've done 3 years at acting school, then they've done this, they've done that, they've done years and years and years and years of work, years of study to become a chiropractor. It's not something you can just walk into. However, I thought at the same time, some of the stuff that I've done has given me life experience, and I can do the work, but that may help to accelerate a little bit the stuff I've done on TV, the acting, the modeling, the TV commercials, blah, blah, blah. Finally got to the point, I'd gone for a couple little acting lessons here and there with just private lessons. And one of the times I was meant to be, learning a script, and I was practicing it while I was driving, and I was just reading it with me, and I was just driving. We're on a freeway, go through it, not reading anything, but just rattling off lines, which just went past the swing, and truck was turning around. We didn't see it. Long story short, got fined, and then that was kind of like ding. Ding up. So I didn't do anything for a while. Yeah, I went to a psychic, because I was just again in this place where I'm like, man, I've got on the back wall, what can I, I just wanted to go, what can I put my focus and energy into? What should I? First thing this guy said when I went in there, actor, that's where your future is, da 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 da. So I was like, well, you can take it or leave what he says, but the fact that he could kind of pick that out of nothing that I'd said, I was like, mate, even if there's a little bit of stuff he just said, I'm going to take it and run with it, but it's not just going to happen for me. So I then booked into every class I could, night classes, weekend courses, did a lot of one-on-ones training. I just thought, I spent so much money on my uni degree. The money you pay, even though it's more expensive to pay for one-on-one, you get a lot of, dedicated time. I just thought, bugger it, I'm going to invest in my future and potential future, and committed to that. And then, long story short, after months and months of training and that, I had my first audition come through. My agent was like, do you think you're ready? Because you don't want to go too early, because then the casting people will never see you again. And this the role with Neighbours was kind of up my alley, up my look, my personality and that, and luckily I got the job. So that was my first job, and then
what was that audition process like?
Yeah, so I had to put down self-tape, which I think I did about 3 different times. I did one. I'm like, I think I'm happy with it. And I show my agent. They go, nah, I think you got to do that again. I'm like, all right. So I went and did it again with someone else, and they get, yeah. And so, do it again. All right. Finally got it done. And then sent it down, and they liked it. So they said, right, we'll bring you down and we'll chemistry test you, and we'll meet you down in Melbourne. So I flew down to Melbourne, and I was meant to do my scene with April. And but first up, the night before, they said, oh, we actually want you to do another scene with Stefan Dennis, and here's the script. And back then, like now, you can learn a script, and I'm like, what the hell, I got to learn another script in one night, and so I went down, and it was in my head, but my head was pretty like full, it was there, but it wasn't. And Stefan came out, and he's like, what are you going to do in this scene? It just threw me, and I was like, holy hell, all the lines went out of my head. Focus. And the other thing was the head producers were there, and they were right. So that Stefan was like here, and they were right there in my eye line, and I could see them. They were watching a screen. So I'm doing my thing, I'm delivering my lines, and right in the corner of my eye line, I could, they'd go to the camera, and I'm like, so mid scene, I could see, I'm like, it kept throwing me off, and it was the worst audition ever. Luckily, Stefan was really, he's like, mate, just have fun with it. Just have fun with it. I'm trying to, I just can't remember. They throw me up and you're yelling. So it was, I got battled through that one. And then when April scene, I knew that well. That one went really well. And right at the end, they said, right, now we want you to ad lib. So I want you to get to the end of the scene. Once you do it this time, going for ad lib, just make it up. But essentially, you're going to end up at some point saying, I love you, and then keep going until we tell you to stop. And that bit I actually did really well in, I think. So we got to this point, they go, right, stop. They go, we didn't want that to end. So I felt like that one, I was in it, I could feel it, and I think that kind of sold it.
Yeah, I think it's funny. I feel like that's maybe a Neighbours thing. Maybe we're exposing that where they give you an extra scene or something. Because we had, like, when me and Tim were going for the Tanaka Twins, we did 2 rounds of callbacks. So we did our initial self-tests. He might have gone in the room for that one, and then because he's in Melbourne, and then we did 2 rounds, like really long. Our first one was like 5 hours. The second one was probably 3, and multiple different exchanges. We had to learn both roles, and going for, I can't remember if it was the first callback or the second callback, but they just went, here's 3 more scenes, and we already had 2. Yeah, it must have been the second one because we already had 2 that we'd done in the previous one. Here's 3 more scenes, learn them, and you have to learn both roles for one of the scenes, and then was with, I think, Zoe, and maybe been a stiffy scene or something for the other one, but we then had to turn up and try to do that. And the weird one was learning both roles is really whacks out your brain. But what they did at the end of your audition is quite a clever audition. Character comes out more when you're given just freedom to play, and obviously it did. So I reckon you're right in saying that that's probably the thing that locked you in.
That's the thing, because I was struggling at the time. At that time, it's like, Jim, it's you can work a muscle and get a muscle so conditioned. I could go and do maybe 20. I was going to say 20 chin-ups. Maybe I could do 20 chin-ups, but chin-ups to do that. Maybe just starting to dabble, they might get 1 or 2 out. It's the same thing. So you go in there and you give me something the night before, struggling, but it's not to say I can't embody the character. But I just can't remember the bloody lines. That's the thing. So it's then being able to remember the lines whilst embodying the character, and then also they test you out, and they make sure you can take direction. So even if they don't want it, they just go, right, do it this way, do it that way, just to see that you can adapt around what you've done in case the choice. What it's like.
Yeah, so I was talking to a friend an actor over in Canada, and she was talking about how, like, she struggles with, because she's done a few decent roles and whatever, and she struggles with the scenes where she has 1 or 2 lines, and she stands there going, don't screw it up for everybody else, don't screw it up for everybody else. And I was saying, like, one of the things I've learned from Neighbours was that in terms of learning lines, I feel like it's not so much training your memory to learn things as much as it is training your belief or trust that you'll know the lines. Because there's this weird point where it switches where you go, oh, I wasn't trying to remember. I just sort of thought that they'd be there, and then they ended up being there, and it worked. So yay! And then, like, you'll screw up one line, you go, oh god, I've lost it. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's pure, because as soon as it's just confidence. As soon as you're not confident, you're second guessing the whole time, which gets in the way of just letting the lines come out. It kind of takes, like, say you have 3 good days. Going to the 4th day, you're confident. It just comes, unless then, it's only when you have 1 bad day where, then for the next, it takes you a few days to get it back, to get the confidence back. If you've had 1 bad day where you've gone, man, I thought whatever it was, and to get out, found that. But then sometimes, when the writing's weird, you second guess yourself too, because some writing just naturally comes out of you because it's more how you would speak. But when it's a bit Yoda-ish, like, happy I am, and bedroom, welcome to what is, like, you don't, it seems it's written like that, and you're like, why does this sound so weird? Why can't I get this right? It's because it's like it doesn't feel like it's in English.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's because our scripts are often written as fast as we're performing them.
Oh, never with Neighbours writing.
But
Yeah, no, those got the right all the time. I don't know how they do it, but
yeah, with a lot of
it's
exposition too, which is the hardest stuff
yeah.
to pull off, really. Like, I always think like you don't really want to be in scene 2 because scene 2 is usually the recap scene for the previous episode. Because scene 1 is like coming in from the previous episodes, whatever the following on, and then scene 2 is like here's what happened in the previous episode and the information you want to know. So then there's usually all this exposition in that scene where you're like, I don't know how to make this sound human.
It's like, oh, I'm just going to go to the watershed to show something about this and that. You remember the thing we talked about the other day that was this and that? Well, I'm going to go and do that with him.
And you have like 14 different names to say. You're like, oh my God. To try to make that sound human is quite difficult. And that's across everyone. Because, how do I say this? Which is quite fun. What was your first day on set like? That must have been pretty huge for you.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it started off not too bad. I know some people when they come in, they just get like blasted with 30 scenes in a week. Luckily, I was able to ease in. Day, I can't remember exactly, but I just remember being so nervous. I think it was probably with April, and she was really good at kind of calming my nerves. And if because you're kind of getting used to too what's normal. If you screw up a line twice, it's like, oh my God, everyone's going to hate me, or is that kind of normal? So it's really good in just sort of saying, look, oh no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Just relax. It's cool. That's fine. Everyone does it, whatever. So it's good to have good support. And then I remember most of the crew were pretty good, and whoever was directing on the day, I think it was with one of the Chris's. So yeah, pretty good, pretty understanding, pretty chilled. I remember there was a lot of time. One of the hardest things was you'd do your line, they go, "Yep, it's good. Let's move on to the next." And you're like, "So that was good. Do you need me to do anything?" Like, no, that's good. It's good. Let's move on. You're like, "Oh, okay." All right.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing with a show like ours, which moves so quickly. There really isn't any time. Like if you keep moving, that means it was good. Like that's all you get really. It's rare you get anything
good enough.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, it was good. What are you talking about? It was good. It was really, really good. That's what I tell myself.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, I've come so far in the time that I've done, and then I am looking forward to how far I've got to go in the future as well. But it's a great journey so far.
Yeah, because you've definitely been working super hard at it. Like you in your breaks and stuff, you're going to get your lessons with Anthony, right? Is it Anthony?
Yeah, so I'd still do like Skype sessions, lessons with Anthony Wong.
Did you meet him on The Matrix by any chance, or is that completely
no, I don't
random?
think so, but he was on The Matrix. But I think it's just completely random, like how things kind of, you meet up with people in these big moments of your life.
Yeah.
But so I've got a few different coaches that I work with, either through Skype sessions when I'm in Melbourne or when I'm back in Sydney, and then constantly just all different things, like accent training, this, that, voice training. That's been something I've constantly working on. Lots of little things just to continue to be better.
And has being on Neighbours confirmed your, should I say, ambition, or has it confirmed your desire that, yeah, this is something that I really want, and this is something that I really want to keep doing into the future?
Yeah, definitely. It's been, there was for the first probably 6 months to almost a year, I pretty much had butterflies in my stomach every day I'd be driving to work. So some days I'm just like, oh God, I'm just so like, it's just emotionally draining, and I'm like, man, do I really want this? Because it's kind of taking a toll on me. I get to work and I'm just like, like all day. I'm like, this is, I've got to get past this so I can enjoy it more, have fun with it. You still have those days where you're running on adrenaline, but it's, I get the car at the end of the so getting out of that, getting the confidence, having some great scenes where I've come away and I've gone, that was great, that was fun, and then seeing the response and what enjoyment it can bring or what emotion it can bring to the audience. It's been great. And then the good thing about Neighbours is we get to work with so many different people, so many different actors, doing guest roles and things that challenge you to be, different areas of you and different emotions to pull on depending on what you're playing. That's been really cool. So yeah, definitely. I do feel like after Soul, I'm coming up. What have I done? About a year and a half, pretty much. I'm looking forward to down the track characters, because I'm always playing the one character, and in a soap sort of setting. I'd love to try some action stuff. I'd love to try some really gritty drama, really real life drama. That kind of stuff I'd really love, like a little James Bond number, that kind of thing would be
too bad.
Yeah, so something where I can use my physicality, something where I can, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, we're having a few little connection issues for everyone at home, which I hope isn't too bad. I've tried adjusting a few settings on the fly here, so I'm hoping that it's not too bad for you guys. I'm not quite sure what's causing it for you, because from my end it seems to be working. So I don't know whether it's YouTube's having something go wrong, but I hope it's not too bad. You guys, some of you seem to be saying it's okay, and then some seem to be saying it's a little bit harder. So I apologize for that. It's the nature of doing this live, and I'm going to blame the coronavirus for it. So I hope it's not too bad. We'll keep talking here because my connection with Tim's quite good, and it seems on mine, looking at the stats and stuff, that's going out okay. So, although someone's saying that it's just now buffering for them, but I don't know what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be potentially.
Yeah, it's got better for me
now.
now.
Never know.
Well, there's some people saying that it's fine now, so that's good to hear. Cool. Well, whatever I did, tweaking things that I don't really understand, might have worked, so that's a good thing. So, have there been things that you've learnt from the show, or whilst doing the show, that you didn't anticipate, or that have impacted the other areas of your life, from the chiropractor side to the all the fitness stuff you do, the Robards method? Has that been informed in a way that you didn't expect? Maybe, obviously, there's your confidence in terms of presenting to camera stuff may have, but you already sort of had that kind of thing. Is there something there that you've learnt that you didn't expect?
Yeah, I think I guess not specifically from like the show, but from acting in general, I'm being more aware of, I've always been fairly aware, but being more aware of thinking about where people come from. Everyone's got a reason. Even the worst tyrants in the world, have a reason for why they justify doing what they do. Human beings that we could say have done appalling things, to them, they can justify it in their head. They've got a reason for why it's a good thing for them, why it's aligned with their values or whatever. So I guess that's even the simple things. Different people who have different value sets. It definitely makes me look, okay, if I was going to play that person, someone may challenge me where I go, freaking that person, they're an asshole, they're this, they're that. But when you go, okay, if I was to play that person as an actor, you can't not like that person, or you have to embody that they're doing, and justify it. So when you put yourself, it just enables you to put yourself in different people's shoes a lot more and understand why they do the things they do, why they're saying the things they're saying, where they're coming from, before you judge or disqualify or cast them aside or go, you're not a person I want to associate with, or whatever. It enables you to be a better understanding human, of people, more tolerant of people. It enables you look deeper into yourself. And I kind of think, if someone was to play me, as another actor was to play me, what are my traits, my values? What are the things that kick them? What are my insecurities? What are the quirky bits? What are the interesting bits? What are all those things? So it makes you think about yourself as a human and what you've got to offer, what you are as a person, all that. And then the other thing is, you know, sometimes one of the things that's a struggle for me as an actor, if I have to do an emotional scene, it's not to say that I'm like closed off emotionally, but I'm not, as a, you know, I probably grew up in Newcastle where you don't just cry,
Yep.
you know, if you're upset. It's not, I've never been, I haven't been in a family where they, you know, shun you for crying, but it's just, you know, you're a man, you don't really cry unless you really have to. So then trying to find it's not as simple as I guess where I'd say what I've done in the past where I've had partners who have been up and down emotionally, and I've found if I ride those roller coasters with them, it doesn't work for me. I hate it like low, and going too high all the time, it doesn't feel real to me. It's a bit too, some people are really flighty. That doesn't work for me. So sometimes I've kind of learned to coast through the middle. And sometimes when I'm with someone who's really high, really low, instead of me having a little bit of this, I can sometimes just do this and just become really, you know, mundane and boring and just, I'm happy. I'm neither happy nor sad, but, you
You're
know,
just like walking through the fog
and
of
that
it.
doesn't work. But like, you know, I'm afraid to go too high, too low because I can't, you know, so I've learned to look for those highs and lows a little bit more, but stay in control. But look, not so you don't want to go to the lows, but sometimes as an actor you have to. So I allow myself. I guess when I'm watching a movie, I really allow myself to go go there. And you know, nowadays when I watch a movie, I cry pretty much every movie I throw on. um, allowing myself to go be emotionally vulnerable, and then also looking for it in the highs. Like I guess subconsciously, I'd probably go, oh, don't get too overly happy, and you know, happy tears, and don't get too sad. But I'm allowing myself to go there and explore that a little bit more in my own life, which hopefully means you have an even higher and rich life. You know, especially the joy and the happiness. You know.
So do you use? It sounds
Um,
like because as such a movie buff, and that seems to be something that you can use to connect with on an emotional level. Do you use that then? If you've got a big scene, will you watch something prior to it to help you along, or do you listen to something? Or
yeah, well, I've been kind of like playing around with what if I need to get into a. I haven't had to do any real like you know my character's not a big crier, but there might be something come up where I've got to you know have on screen tears or whatever. So I've been playing. I get there, and I've done things where I'm working with coaches and doing scenes where I've you know in training where I can get there and you do a lot of substitution and things like that where you go right I have to do a lot of what ifs because I haven't had a lot of the trauma as a that's probably where I was going before was as a practitioner as a chiropractor practitioner a lot of what I do it's not just cracking backs I'm listening and I'm giving people I'm trying to inspire them get them energized, get them into a positive mindset so they can heal better, so they do their exercises I give them, all those things to put them in a positive mindset. And I've got to listen to all the hardships and then kind of pull them out of that. And you kind of, yeah, you don't want to take a lot of that stuff on. You're usually the one who's the rock, you know, the one who doesn't show too much emotion either side. So that's kind of, I guess, the other thing where I've always been the rock in these situations. I've got to be the one that's strong who doesn't show that. So um, going from that and then into the acting, yeah, it's becoming letting down that rock feeling and going, no, if I'm playing character who's a big soppy boy, I've got to I've got to go for that. So yeah, sometimes I find movies and music is great. Like I can especially if there's been a song from a movie that was emotional, I could play that and that'd get me into the moment. Doing a lot of like, I haven't had a lot of trauma, a lot of my trauma in my life. I'm at ease with it. I don't have built up unresolved
you're
trauma,
healthy mentally.
which is, yeah, which is like,
Such a
in
shame as an
some
actor. It's like,
ways, I kind of
I
wish,
need to be a little bit more
yeah,
screwed up for
I'm
this.
like, that stuff's gold. If you have a lot of unresolved great because you just think of it bang you're either really angry you're really upset but I've equalized a lot of that I'm okay with that in my life which sucks as an actor so I have to play a lot of what ifs so you know like what if my wife was on her deathbed touch wood what if my dad had just passed away like all those things and it involves a lot of imagination and time to get into that. Whereas if I guess if my dad had just, you know, someone had just passed or whatever, then it'd be to access really easily. So I have to do a lot of what ifs. And sometimes, watching something on a movie or having music or whatever can help me bring that on really quick. Because especially the stuff we do, you go in there and it's like 2 minutes later you're into the scene. You don't have, and if you've had 8 scenes before it, you haven't had time to go and sit by yourself and get into the mood. So
Yeah, that's where you see seasoned actors come into an environment like Neighbours and how quickly we shoot, and they're used to getting 10 takes on something, and they can work up through those takes into the place they want to be. But we don't have that opportunity. Take one is it has to be there, and if you get enough of it right, then they'll keep moving. So you don't have the luxury of going, all right, well, yeah, that's a good first take, and then it's okay, we're moving on. Okay, that's it then,
Yeah, or you're like, you've had one take and they go, right now you need to go more, we need you to go harder, get those tears out, and you're like, I've literally just finished lunch like 2 minutes ago. I'm in here, and now so it's or the scene you're doing before was like I'm super happy scene, and then you got to like just bring it. So yeah, it's they're the challenges, but it definitely, I think it makes you a more aware human, a more emotionally available human, and better understanding human.
Yeah, that's nice. Has Anna mentioned any noticeable changes in you now that you've opened up all these emotional doorways? And
Yeah, she says I'm a lot angrier. I scream all the time at her, and I'm like, you do have to like. It's funny. It's funny is that no, she probably. But was it maybe a night or two ago? She looked over watching this movie, and she goes, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "Yes, I am." Normally, I go, "No,"
good on you.
and I was like, So it was. She's probably seen the confidence come through in some ways. But then there's a few times where I've been in a situation, where you're not going to take someone's shit in a way. So there's this balance of being understanding of people, but also not taking their shit sometimes, where I feel like I'm switching into my character a little bit. Because like businessman doesn't take shit when he's sensitive, but at the same time, when he doesn't want to take shit, he doesn't take it, And so I feel myself sometimes switching into that in normal life and going, maybe a year ago I
Getting
wouldn't have
super
done that
assertive.
just like that, but
which can be handy. I need to be more assertive most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. You just go into like Pierce Greyson, right? This is how it's going to be. What's the price? Nah, too much. Drop it down, 10%, bang.
Oh my god, Pierce. Did you watch Neighbours as a kid?
I probably finished when backed off. I don't know, when I was like early teen years, I would think. But as a kid, I just remember, it was always on. You'd come home from school and it'd be there, and probably a mix between that and that other, show on that other channel.
Yeah, which we can mention Home and Away. It's fine. It's on at a different time slot,
I think I went between the two, or sometimes you'd watch both, and it was growing up with it, it was always there.
Yeah. Did you have any trepidation coming on set and having to work opposite people like Alan Fletcher? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it was like, it was exciting. It was, you feel the pressure of going, man, I've got to kind of like, I don't want to let this person down with my poor acting. So, he's been doing this for
He's thinking the same thing.
years. So I'm like, I don't want to be the crap guy that's just just a pain in everyone's side. So I was really conscious of that, trying to pull my weight, so to speak. But then, learning from those guys, it's pretty, there's so much to learn from them, how they go about things, and because they're so used to it, they bring a good energy and the laughter and the fun to the set that you need to keep your day fun. If everyone was like me in there, we'd all be a nervous bunch of wrecks, for the first 6 months. But it's good to have those guys who bring a sense of calm to the set, and they've always got some sort of great advice to call them. But it was pretty surreal. I'd go home and call my dad and go, yeah, I just had this scene, and did it with Dr. Carl, or Tony.
Which is a pretty surreal thing.
Be crazy when you watch them growing up.
What was your family's reaction to, well, both Neighbours, but also saying I'm gonna go hard at doing some acting?
I guess pretty supportive. I think they've started to see me over the years, especially with like
Mm.
bachelor days. I went through uni and I used to I'd have some pretty exciting modeling jobs. They were always the exciting stuff. Uni was, uni, and you become a chiropractor and do your job. But I'd have these great little modeling jobs where I might have to go, Mum, Dad, I've got a flight over to Champagne. They'd be like, oh, cool. Be on a fishing trip, be the tuna guy. Where like, there's all these that I guess they were somewhat accustomed to, and were excited to always hear of those things. And then I think they started to really believe in me, in what I was doing to put myself out there. And so I guess, this is a continuation of that same mindset, I guess, or what I've always tried to do, and then put myself out there and push through my comfort zone, because I was just never an out there person, but I constantly try a new challenge, be nervous as hell doing it,
Mm.
and then once I step over it, go, okay, that was all right. I'm still here, I'm still alive, and that was fun. So, yeah, I think that they were, again. This is, I guess, the next sort of thing after like bachelor days. They saw the transformation in me,
Yeah.
like the confidence, putting myself through that. That was a lot of some big challenging moments. The stuff then when you go on, you do all the interviews on national TV where they're trying to get dirt out of you and heckling you and paparazzi following you and all that. Like, they've that kind of gives you a good bit of boost of self confidence, self esteem, in that you know how to handle yourself in those situations. And then, so yeah, they've always been great supporters.
Yeah. Just quickly, this is more my curiosity than anything else. On the reality, do you have
Mm.
what's a healthy way to survive that? What's the best way to approach it? Because I think a lot of people don't really realize what it really is like, for one thing. But you've
Yeah.
obviously figured out a way to come out of it in a healthy way. So, do you have any advice for people out there who are thinking that that's something they'd want to do? Um,
Yeah. So it's funny. I just watched
oh
Unreal. Just
yeah,
started watching the first
it's
couple of
good. It's
episodes,
really good.
which is like a spin-off, take off of the behind the scenes. It's not like that. It wasn't like that. Um, Maybe in America it's a little like that, but ours was like not like that at all.
You didn't realize you were being manipulated, Tim.
Basically,
That's what was going on.
yeah. I think I did a lot of work. I went and worked with a life coach before I went.
Mm.
Being the first one, I really did believe that there was a chance that I could meet someone. So I think the advice I would give someone, and then I'll go back into that, would be, it all comes down to intention. Have a really clear intention that is honest to yourself. If your intention's right and you can live with that, and other people will see that and you can live with that, then that's the first step. So in saying that, I mean, if I purely I went on there for sort of three main reasons. One was to meet a girl. I thought they said there's 25 of the best girls from around the country. I thought that's pretty good odds.
Yeah.
Little did I know that they would pick, like, probably they go, we'll pick five people that we think you'd go on a date with, and then 20 characters. Not to say that there's nothing wrong with all, they're just different characters that I probably normally wouldn't go on a date with, but they pick these characters because they're great for TV. There wasn't 25 women that they thought were aligned to be lifelong partners with me, and vice versa. I'm not going to be right for 20 of those girls, more 24. So there's I think you've got to have. So there was that for me. It would bring some change. It was exciting doing stuff on TV. It wasn't like, there was before the days of Instagram, so you weren't doing it for Instagram numbers, but it may open some doors. It may just bring some change, something to my life. I would learn, and it would be an adventure. It was a crazy adventure that you can't question. That would be kind of, it'd have challenges, but it'd be an adventure. So I guess for someone else who had that bang, if you're doing it for Instagram numbers, that's fine, or you're doing it because you want to be on TV, whatever, that's fine. But don't um, make out, no, it's totally, I'm here to find love. If you're not there at all, if you're there 2% of why you're there is to find love, and 98% is to get Instagram followers, people will see through that, and I think it would be more of your undoing. People, you can kind of see through things, and then they'll edit things. They can amplify traits. So if you are an insecure person with bitchy trait, amplify that. So you really want to, if you're all right with that, that's fine. But if you don't want those traits, but if you happen to have a lot of them, they will amplify that and potentially make you look 10 times more, insecure and bitchy. And then that will make you even more insecure. So you've got to be coming from a good place. Depends what you want out of it. Just it all comes down to intention. Be clear with that. Don't try and dupe people. I always just find the more honest you can be, the better. Honesty is key. People see through it. When the camera's on you, you're looking at every little jitter. We read body language so well. Someone says, oh man, you look amazing, and you're going, man, you look like when they're full of crap. Yeah. For that long, for 3 months straight, you start to realize whether someone's full of crap or whether they're, So that would be my biggest thing. Just be honest with yourself. Be honest. Have integrity. Have a good reason, and do some work on yourself. Don't go into this stuff if you're not feeling solid from a self-esteem, from a point of view, or confident. And we all have our insecurities, but don't go on if you're looking for this to fill gaps or something.
Lead with authenticity and understand that what you're stepping into in a way. Yeah. That's really good. What about
otherwise it may hurt you.
Yeah, and I think there's been plenty of examples probably of that being the case too. What about for those who want to be on a show like Neighbours? Any advice for them?
I think some people would go, oh, you just got on their Bachelor and you've got some followers on Instagram, blah 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 blah, and some of that may be true. I'm not the best actor out there. I'm not the most good-looking actor out there, but it's a conglomerate. All the things that, for me, all the things I've done to get there in my life have led me there. So you might, for someone who might palm it off and go, oh, you were the Bachelor, that's why you got your job on Neighbours. So people go, man, if I'm not going to be the Bachelor, then how the hell am I going to get on Neighbours? The point of what I'm saying is all the things I did get from one bit to becoming, the stand-in for Keanu at 20, to doing commercials and flying around the world to do them, to them being asked to become a chiropractor, to be looked on, to have a good job, to then be asked to be the Bachelor, to then go through, meet a girl, to then continue to do TV stuff, to then believe in myself enough to go and do acting lessons, to do that. Little things are why I got to the job, not just like this one thing that people can sort of palm it off as. So my advice is try not to, all the little things add up. Do all the little things. They will gradually, it's just one step. Sometimes when you're down here and you're looking, so that's the job on Neighbours or whatever you're going for, it seems so far. Just do all the little steps to get there. And sometimes they're not always clear, but just know where you're going, do everything you can to get there, and they will gradually build you up and get you there in a way. Sometimes you don't know. I didn't know I was going to be going to Neighbours. I didn't know I'd go for acting, but I just kept doing the stuff to do. You will not get there if you get stuck in a job that you don't love for 10 years because, it's comfortable. It gives you money. You get to have your one holiday a year and whatever. That's comfortable and nice. But then 10 years down the track, you go, man, I haven't learned any new skills. I haven't grown my skill base. I think the more skills, the more skills we have, the more employable we are, the more we're going to have things presented to us. So the biggest investment, hopefully make money on a stock or lose money, but if you invest that into teaching and learning and skills for yourself, that's a big money maker. The more skills and knowledge you have, then that's the best investment you can make. You then got to kind of work at it. You got to go to work and drive to work and do all that, but then you make good money from that. Whereas you can invest your money into stocks and things, and you might make some, easy money, but you might not. I would just say, just invest in yourself, in your skill base, learn, get onto YouTube, learn acting on
there's heaps
YouTube,
out there.
learn, go to masterclass, learn, watch these things, get inspired. One of the things that I love listening to, I find so inspiring for acting is
takTalks,
the
right?
SAG. The takTalks is great reviews. So SAG, it's the Screen Actors Guild.
Yep.
Thing in America. They do all these interviews with actors, and they are so good. All the top actors in the world, and they show you how they went from, in these really from as a 15-year-old to where they are now. And you look at them now, and you're like, man, how the hell do I get there? But when you see the journey, intimidating, because you're like, man, they've been acting since like 15, and I started like late on. But it's got all the energy out there. And
and on your point about the idea of nepotism, that you were the bachelor, therefore you got a role on Neighbours. I had friends growing up, well, they're still my friends, whose parents were in like powerful positions in companies or whatever, and they were fearful of being seen, like if they got a job, that it's because their dad was this or their mum was this or whatever. And I would say to them, look, anyone would kill to have that connection, and that connection might get you an interview, it even might get you a job, but the only person who's going to get you past the interview or get you into the job is you, and you still have to prove yourself at that point. And you've certainly done that, and you are working incredibly hard all the time, which is not only on this, but on everything else you've got going, which is so commendable and inspirational, because I know how much work this show takes and how much this show as an actor takes. So to let alone be doing that and keeping everything else you've got going, from chiropractor to the Robards method to all the social stuff that you do as well. I mean, that's a huge amount of work, and you maintain a level head throughout the whole thing, which is inspiring to me, and I know other people in the cast think the same. So good on you, really.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Yeah,
thanks. It's I guess that's where coming from the different angle can be, interesting when you get someone who may have done acting their whole life, and then you see someone who's come from different. We all learn from each other in different ways, and you may have an actor that then turns around and goes, I want to go and start a fitness program on the other way,
which has happened too. I've seen that happen. So
yeah, Worth did that, didn't he? Nobody.
He copied you, right? Acting. He copied you. God.
It's all we inspire each other so much, and I just think anytime you're around someone who, I think the biggest thing that's inspiring to me is it's not necessarily about how much money you make or how big your business is or whatever, but it's the people. The most inspiring are the ones who do what they do, but they love doing what they do, and they do what they love. And they're the ones who, even if they're not earning much money, but when you see someone who is just so happy doing what they do, that for me, and usually they're good at whatever they're doing, and usually they're rewarded financially for it to some degree. But when you see someone who's just so happy doing what they do, they're the people you're like, man, like, I know people who make a lot of money, but they're not happy, So for me, it's just inspiring with each other when we're around people who just love what they're doing. And that's why I do love this industry, and I was drawn to it. Because there's a lot of people who are so passionate about working in the film and television industry. You don't get too many people who are like, oh, I got to go to work today. Like, people are inspired to be there. They love being part of a team. So that's what I love. And one of the big things that's drawn me into it, why I love going to work.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. All right, we will finish up with some quick fire questions that I can find in the live chat, because I think that's a really nice point to end that bit of the show. I don't know. I need to name some segments. Maybe you can think of a name for me for different bits. Here's the hot fire questions. Someone asked if you can get the Handsome products in the UK. I feel like you probably know that.
You can. I don't know. Like, we definitely will ship over there. but it may just cost you a bit more for shipping. I think we are definitely looking to expand and have it on the ground over there. That may come in the future, which may bring that down. But yeah, there's definitely, I think you can order online and we'll get it over there.
Very good. Who is your favorite character on Dawson's Creek?
Oh,
can you remember anyone's name?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I remember the guy. His name was the main guy, Dawson.
Yeah.
Whatever his name.
His last name's Creek, right?
I remember that football. Remember that football movie? It was like, and he played Marks. No, that wasn't Marks. That wasn't Marks. That was someone else. But the main Pacey. Pacey was the dark-haired guy who was with
Joey?
Tom Cruise's ex.
Katie Holmes.
Oh, Joey was the main guy. Joey, I think.
I don't know.
But Pacey was the one with Skulls. Remember the movie Skulls?
No, I haven't seen that.
Like a rowing movie, Skulls.
Oh, that kind of Skulls. Right. SC.
Yeah. Yeah, so Pacey.
What uni did you attend?
Ooh, which unis? I went to Newcastle Uni, then I went to Wollongong Uni, then I went to Sydney Uni, then I went to Macquarie Uni. So I did 4.
Yeah. I've been everywhere, man. Everywhere. Fun behind the scenes story from filming Endgame?
Fun.
Or anything interesting, maybe.
Yeah. The fun it's kind of cool. Like, it was exciting. It was so exciting to get out of studio and, like, you know, be on a boat and all, you know, the stuff we shot, driving over to the island and that. And then I really enjoyed the stuff we shot one night. We actually did it on set. We made it look like fake island, and we were, you know, we had all these gas fire things to make it look like flames in the background. And I remember it was the scene where Chris Milligan, he found out his dad had perished in the fire, and he tries to push past us, and he was like launching, and I had to hold him back, and then he collapses on the ground. There's a scene just before it. I had to be with my son. I'm like, no, stay there. I will bring her back. Trust me, I'll bring her. No, stay here. I will bring her back. I promise, I'll bring her back. And it's, you know, it was kind of cool. Like, just little short scenes, but just you had to kind of like go from rolling and go, and you just like fire, just imagine flames everywhere. You're just puffing and panning. You're covered in soot, ash, and then cut. And you're like, oh, cool, that was good.
It's so weird what we do. You know, it's so weird.
Suburbs of Melbourne, you know.
Has Anna taught you any of her dirty dancing routines?
Ooh, the horizontal.
She had to teach you that?
She would get up and do a little bit of a little bit she did on the bridge. It was quite cute. You know, when she, like, I think she's carrying a watermelon. She put it does that, all that. So
you do it pretty well too. I think that was that's good.
Yeah, I just need a little short jean shorts and the pink top. Yeah. Pink singlet top.
Well, that's how I want to see you next time we're on set, so that's what I'm expecting.
And a watermelon.
Well, I've been in this boat too, but this was Irish Raws said, would you get your bum out on Neighbours? I've had to do it. Matty's had to do it. Finn's done it. Millsy did it. Milligan did it. Would you do it? Maybe you don't want to answer because our production team might see this and then hold you to it. So.
True. Do I get a free back crack and sack first?
From Irish Raw? Yeah, you have to go to Ireland and I'll do it for you.
Beautiful. Yeah, if I get a freebie,
then you'll do it.
And yeah, then we
would. Stephanie asked, because Pierce is a wine pro, what's your favorite wine?
Well, now that you ask, we're currently on a Nebbiolo.
A Nebbiolo?
Piedmont region, yes, from the Piedmont region. It's a Lang Nebbiolo. I do like Italian wine. I do like the Barolo. and this is a Nebbiolo. This is like the poor man's Barolo. Um, yeah. Otherwise, you know what? I used to like my heavier like Shiraz and Zinfandel. It was like American Zinfandel, but I've been getting a little bit more into my Pinots of late. So like a good Tassie Pinot or a New Zealand
See, everyone, he
Pinot.
does really
It's
know
hard
his
to get.
wines. He genuinely does know his wines. You must have had good chats with Stiffles, Mr. Stefan Dennis, about that. He loves his wine too. He's got a good cellar.
Yeah. No, we haven't shared one together yet. We just drink the wine they give us at work, which is like Ribena juice in it.
It's got some very subtle tones in it. All right.
Yeah.
What's it like working with Benny, Mr. Turland?
Benny, I love Benny. So it's been great to like we're like and we train a lot together, and you know, in some ways we're mates, but in some ways I feel like also a bit of a mentor as an older guy, being a mentor to a younger kid with a lot of potential. I think he's got a heap of potential. So not necessarily, you know, he's probably a much better actor than me, so I can't mentor him in the acting space, but in the becoming a man space, you know?
I'm teaching him to be a man.
Yeah. Man. So no, it's great. And then, you know, to be, because we're such great friends, and he's really inspired to work hard as well. We do a lot of work on different scenes beforehand. We might call each other up on the phone the night before and just go, do you want to run it? Do you want to meet up for dinner and let's run some scenes, or, you know, have a discussion on how we want to approach it. And yeah, so some of that, like he's really great to work with, and such a good friend, but also just a great one to have as my son. So he had to do his casting audition thing with me. So when he came, I had the 5 different people that came down to cast for his role, and I had to read for each of them. So I was like the stiffy, the Stefan Dennis to him. Like when I was kind of cool reversal. Now I'm like in the power seat. I'm like, right, how can I intimidate these kids? It was good to be in that position, but I remember from you, I was like, this guy's got good connection and gets it, you know.
Yeah, he's a bit of a legend, which you should all go and check out. I think it was number 13 that I did with him, the takTalks number 13 with Ben Turlin. He tells some really cool stories, really cool stories about him growing up and nearly not being able to dance ever again because of some vein artery situation in his leg.
Yeah, he had a third leg. They else, but yeah. And
that can go.
Talking about the vein thing in his other leg.
We weren't supposed to talk about the third leg. It's a different rating to the show, I think. Yeah. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. That's a good one to stop it on. Ben Turlin's third leg. You heard it here first. Thank you very much for joining us on takTalks, Mr. Tim Robards. And thank you all at home for joining me here. I'm sorry if you guys had some issues. YouTube's been telling me the whole time I've had an excellent connection. My computer seems to tell me that it's had a good connection, so I'm not sure at which point that something might be happening, but I hope that you've been able to follow along, and I hope if you're watching this later that it is coming through clear, that the YouTube thing might have fixed itself. But if you haven't already, please like this, subscribe to me so you can see the next one. I'm about to announce the next guest, which is someone super exciting, and it's going to be a really, really nice chat, I think. But yeah, make sure you do all those things, please, for me. So more people can see this, because it helps with the algorithm stuff or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a YouTuber. I don't know how these things work. And anyway, tomorrow we have on the show, same time, same place, Georgie Stone. Yay! Which is super exciting. She's an absolute legend, and I can't wait to hear more of her story and how she's come into performing and acting and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. Like, subscribe, comment. If you've got any questions for Georgie, and it's within the next 24 hours, write them in the comment for this video. Otherwise, join me tomorrow. Chuck them in the chat like I always ask. But thank you for joining us, and I will see you next time. Bye.